try again. Yeah, no, it picked a weird audio output for me for some reason. I think the Twitch stream will be pretty delayed. There's like a 30-second to 1 minute delay. It's not a real-time game, luckily, so. Okay. I can see this. Yeah.
Nope. Now we got it. Now we got it. Now we got the mic audio. Now we got the desktop audio. Oh my God, there's just too many moving pieces on this one. Admittedly, I really went down to the 11th hour trying to pull everything together and make sure Mike was set up and his stuff was working. So we got him in the wings here. But hey, welcome. We are back. It's Money Talks episode 9. I just realized I'm missing a light, so it's a little dark in here. But we're back. Last week we did a total grab bag because we didn't have any guests for the show. This week we have Kaiju Mike from Kaiju Cards, a game on Treasure that's a roguelite similar to Slay the Spire, but I think they got some unique stuff going on, so it's a lot of fun. They got new season going on, new stuff to earn. Thanks to everybody who's in the chat so far and ready to go here. I did want to do a quick little rundown. First and foremost, it is the Echelon Foundation elections started last night. From Game Seller, we have myself and Austin White both running for Echelon Foundation. There's also a number of other candidates, 8 other candidates. Voting is open for that. I recommend people go to the Echelon Foundation Discord and check out all the candidate profiles, see what they believe in for Echelon Foundation in the future of Parallel and the future of Prime Token, and take it serious and allocate your votes accordingly. I believe you don't have to split votes. I think you can just vote for your 5 favorite candidates and go from there. So that's my quick plug on that front. It closes April 15th. We had the panels last week, and I've told this story to a few people, but my mother-in-law made some Easter ham and everybody got food poisoning from it. So mine happened to coincide with that panel. So when it wasn't my turn to answer questions for that Echelon panel, I was laying on the floor in pain and struggling to survive. And when it was my turn to answer the question, I was locked in for 90 seconds to get my answer out before resisting the urge to throw up into my microphone. So that was a lot of fun. The whole experience has been a really good time, honestly. I feel like I've been learning a lot. So let's dive in really quick here. I want to do a quick breakdown, not necessarily a grab bag, but just like a really quick couple things that have come up this week that I think are cool, and wanted to bring them up. And then we'll bring Mike up and we'll hop right into it here. Let me see here. Let's get into the game scene here. What have I done? Stop sharing. No, we're going to keep sharing that. Fantasy.top has moved into a new season. This is a testnet game on Blast. We've been talking about it a little bit. Again, I think this is a really good one. Ansem's been tweeting a bunch about it. I think there's a really cool opportunity here where people who have cards in the game are going to get some sort of kickback from trading in the marketplace. And then people who are playing the game want the cards that they have to be tweeting more, because it's all based on social capital out there. So it's kind of twofold. The people who have cards in the game are going to be tweeting about it all the time. And the people who are playing and actually want to win tournaments are also going to be tweeting about it all the time. I just think it's a really, really cool model. And it's one of the cooler things on Blast. And again, it's all testnet, so you don't have to pay anything. You just get in there, you start opening packs, ripping packs, making cards, joining tournaments here, throwing cards in here. We can make a deck right now. We can go D's. Let's go Luca Nets, Arthur Hayes. Who else we got going on? I'm a fan of OSF. I think he's had some good stuff going on. And oh, what have I done? I've totally... I didn't figure it out. I didn't read the rules. We'll go back and see what we're missing here. I guess it has to be... It doesn't have TPFPs. All right. No time. We're moving on. Next one. This one got sent to me today. This is called Blast Fantasy. It's also a testnet game on Blast. I don't think there's anything to do right now. I think you just go in and you link your Twitter and then you mint a free NFT key. One thing that I was talking about on Space earlier today is that most of the Blast Gold has been distributed from a lot of their dApps already. And so if you can find stuff that's on testnet, there's almost certainly going to be a season 2 for Blast Gold and Blast Points. So if you can get in there, try some stuff, mess around, that's the best thing in crypto, man, is if you can just mess around with stuff and get some free money out of it. Speaking of which, we'll just hop right into the next one right away. So Portal announced their first partner, and it's Somo, Somo Legends, I guess. But Somo was, they were hyping it up a while ago for a couple of months. I think they had 200,000 followers. It's a Pokemon style game. And they are the first partner through Portal. So they're also doing a similar social campaign to Portal. Portal farmers made out huge for tweeting about Portal. So if you get in here and what you do is you open a pack, and it says like, oh, this is your attack that you used, and you tweet about it, and then you get points based on tweeting about it. Your guy levels up, and you keep earning points. And I assume you will you'll earn Somo's token as well. You also get points for staking Portal, so it's going to continue to be a game launchpad on that front. Another new one that has come up recently was My Pet Hooligan. They had staking for all of their Hooligan characters. That was going on for about 2 years. They finally capped that. The token is coming soon, and they've started doing this again, social farming. It's a recurring theme. You're either play to airdrop, social farming, or you're staking a bunch of crypto for more crypto. But this one's pretty easy. It's mostly just liking and retweeting their posts, and then linking your accounts to it and stuff. So really not too bad here. And then shout out to Josh Ong, who put me onto Cookie 3, which is an affiliate marketing program. Right now, it's just a big referral Ponzi. So if you want a invite, let me know. Happy to send you an invite. And then he also put me on to 6079 AI, which is an AI protocol. Again, it's all social farming. It's all free. It's all pretty easy. Oh my God, we put way too many in here. Okay, we'll just jump right into the last one, and that's Paleo AI. This is on top of, this is Exterios L2. So if you remember the Overworld mint from December, everybody stayed up really, really late and tried to mint their Overworld NFT with fast gas. That is sort of the brainchild of oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm really sorry, but he's with the Exterio team as well, which is a marketplace for gaming. They've done Age of Dino, they've done Paleo. So this is a farming thing. I think he just tweeted the other day that Exterio had like the 5th most transactions by blockchain. This is probably a reason why, is because they're going to dial up the play to earn on Paleo and Age of Dino and probably Overworld. And there's a good chance that like Overworld NFTs will receive Exterio token as well as the Incarno token for Overworld. So that's the quick rundown. I tried to do it in 5 minutes. I think it took 8. And I think we knocked it out. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any other stuff they want to throw out there? Because right now it looks a little dead in the chat. So we can always come back. We can pull the VOD. We can talk about it a little bit more as we post some of this stuff to Twitter. So what I want to do now is I want to go over to Mike. Let me unmute him here so we can talk about Kaiju Cards a little bit as soon as I get.
Hey.
Oh, I don't have you on yet. I'm close. I'm still learning the ins and outs of this, man. It's the game seller guys are so good at it. Now we got you on now. There we go. They're so good at the production side of it, but you know what? I'm going to chalk it up to a 2-man team. It's pretty hard when you're doing the streaming, the talking, the switching between tabs, the bringing up guests, making sure that they're got the right people in the right place and all the audio is working and everything. So I want to make sure. Okay.
You're streaming to like 3 different places too, right? Like you're doing Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. It's kind of a lot to.
Which is remarkably easy, actually. I thought it would be pretty hard, but with Restream, you pretty much you can change the title across all 3. You hit the button, it just goes, and then it pulls in the chat from all of them. And it didn't used to pull in the Twitter chat, which was also a pain because then you'd have a bunch of people talking on Twitter and you couldn't see what any of them were saying. But now it actually pulls it in. And so I see Julian here. He said he's here for the Kaiju. So I guess we can stop.
Shout out, Julian.
Yeah, we can stop messing around and just talk about Kaiju Cards a little bit.
Let's get it.
I mean, I could give my interpretation of what Kaiju Cards is. I'd rather hear your interpretation of what Kaiju Cards is.
I feel the same. I'd rather hear yours.
You'd rather hear mine? I can give mine if you'd like.
Here's what we should do. I think I'll give like a brief history for people who haven't heard of us, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts. Straight from the game seller source.
Oh man! All right, I'm prepping my response. I'll let you go.
Cool. So Kaiju Cards is both a game and kind of a world and IP that we've created here at Permadeath Studios. We've been around with this specific studio in crypto for almost 3 years at this point. We started on Solana and we built several products there, you could say games experiences. The first was a fully on-chain game that happened on Solana. That we updated for a while. It had to do with kind of staking, idle questing. That was in March or late February of 2022. So, 2 years ago. After that, we created a loot box mini game that kind of had a circular thing going on with the idle on-chain game.
Okay.
And where we're at now is our main game is actually live. It's a roguelite deck builder. It's an alpha. And we ported from Solana over to Arbitrum to partner with Treasure, who are just absolute badasses in Web3 gaming. And now we're building out the ecosystem, have some exciting stuff live, and that's where you find us today. The game's free to play, no wallet needed. Just go to play.kaiju.cards, you're in.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the move to Treasure. I'm a big fan of Treasure. I joined Treasure Create a while ago. Actually, Ryan Orphan, the two other cohorts of Game Seller here, also joined Treasure Create just last week, I think. So
Sick.
we're big fans of the ecosystem and a lot what a lot of people are building. I just love how interoperable it is. Seeing like Kororo Beast bring in, you know, Smalls and like all these other ecosystems from it's just like everybody in Treasure plays everything else in Treasure, which I think is the only other chain that I think does that really well is Ronin. So
Yep.
um, big fan of what kind of the indie vibe of Treasure and what they're building. Yeah, so my interpretation of what this game is, I mean, I would say it's if I had to do a comp, it's very similar to a Slay the Spire style game. I would say like the UI and feel of it are a little different, but obviously you're getting cards and you're trying to find the right combos to progress through a generated dungeon. What I will say is the IP for this game is super unique. It's kind of got this like cartoony feel to it. You got, you know, frogs, penguins, wizards, assassins, and I really like what's going on with that. And what I've told when I talk about Kaiju Cards to other people, what I say is that there are a lot of Slay the Spire type Web3 games, but this one challenges me the most out of all of them, which I think is a big feather in your cap because there's quite
Yes. Love it.
because there's quite a few that I've played and I'm just like, all right, this is one, it's not randomized. Two, there's like one path they try to pigeonhole you through where it's like, hey, if you don't use fire, you're not going to get through this. And I'm like, well, that's no fun, right? So I truly feel the randomization when I play Kaiju Cards, from everything from the items to the cards I pull. I love doing a lucky draw when there's nothing good up there and just seeing what I can get. And
Yeah.
you end up with different combos at the end of it every time. I will say I don't think I've ever beat hard mode, so I'm glad there's a difficulty that, you know, really sticks it to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love the IP, especially everything you guys have been putting out around the Play to Airdrop campaign. I know we had the image with the penguin running away with the gem.
Yep. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that one's fantastic. And so I do want to ask you about the IP. And while I'm talking here, once I ask you, I'm gonna flip over and I'm gonna pull up the game and just like
Cool.
show the UI a little bit. But I want to ask, I mean, you guys on your site, you boast this background of being like with Nickelodeon and working at Adult Swim, and like it's a lot of animation and cartoon background. So
Yep.
if you can talk a little bit about that, and then just like what made you want to take that and go into gaming.
For sure. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot that you mentioned just now that I'd love to kind of dig into as well around game design and, you know, the combinatorics of it and kind of the mashup of genre that we're doing, but we'll save it. I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of it. So, you know, the IP itself, it is created by Western animation industry veterans. And, you know, I think what you see in crypto gaming is a lot of anime these days, right? So I think that we do stick out in that kind of classical Western, you know, Cartoon Network with some references all the way back to like early Disney stuff and some of our art. And, you know, the other consideration with the IP was, well, you know, most roguelike deck builder games and games in this genre have kind of this like dark, dingy, medieval, you know, dank dungeon aesthetic. And we really wanted something like bright and fun that stood out because, you know, I mean, you have to stand out visually, you have to captivate people, right? So there is a little bit of that like Cuphead, you know, thought and methodology in the IP. It's not as 50s,
Right.
really. Like Cuphead was like really old school. But the team, so our creative director, Tyler, was a director at Adult Swim for a while. And before that, he was a writer at Funny or Die and The
Oh,
Onion.
cool. Okay.
So he does have that kind of like Western humor, animation, unhinged aspect. And then the team of artists, so Tyler and Drew are kind of the core guys on the team. They've been with us since day one. They created all the characters. 23 characters really is what we started with. And those are represented in our Genesis NFT collection.
Okay.
And then we worked with a group of artists that we still work with to this day that, have worked on SpongeBob or Adventure Time or just any number of these kind of very recognizable Western shows. And we're from LA, like the whole team lives in LA. So we're really drawing on that kind of like entertainment industry vibe. And the dream, really is, let's make this game, but the IP stands out. And like, this isn't the end of our aspirations, right? Like there's a whole bunch of stuff we could do, a whole bunch of directions we can go with this. I think as a studio, it's really important to just understand, like, you got to keep taking those shots on goal wherever you can, and you got to stand out in your marketing. So that's kind of where our heads are at with it. And also it just like, it's funny, like just play the game, like laugh, just have a good time.
I agree. Yeah. I think you've seen like, God, I'm blanking on the name of the show. I've been trying to think of it for 2 minutes, but there's this Netflix show that's like a D&D-esque show, but it also has to do with cooking. And I'm blanking on the name of it.
Yeah.
Way,
I know exactly what you're talking. It's called Delicious in Dungeon or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So I think there's this love for D&D. D&D was like stigmatized for a really long time, right? And I think now people are just like openly, they love it. They love RPGs. They love tabletop games. And you see it come across in media too. And it doesn't have to be this like gritty medieval thing. Even the Dungeons and Dragons movie had like a ton of comedy in it along the way.
Yeah.
And I think people just sort of love that anything can happen. It's goofy, it's silly, but it's also a dungeon crawler, and it's sort of like based in this thing that they know and love. And so I think you got all the right pieces here. And obviously, like with the animation background, you guys have the industry connects and the talent to make a cool IP out of it. I'm trying to figure out where to go on the website to show some more of the characters and stuff here. Oh, here we go. Okay,
so the inventory page is great. You can also just start a run and kind of let it idle or what have you.
True. And I have to admit, I did my Battle Pass run last night, so I'm not really earning any additional XP here, but, for the sake of the stream.
How dare you play a Web3 game and not earn?
How dare I play a Web3 game and not stream it and... Wow, when you put it like that, I sound like a jerk. I really only play these games to earn. No, that's I love the characters. I was really excited to pull this one. I forget the event name,
nice.
But it was last season.
The Fungi Festival.
Yep. And it was like a random pull, and I pulled an epic, which is the best out of anything I have. And it totally changed my team dynamic. My team dynamic before. If I go back to my characters, I really only had 2 warriors and this rare assassin. And so everything was based around this frog assassin, which I still think is like the best character in the game by far.
The passive is really...
Yeah, the passive. For the sake of chat, each class has its own passive, and I'm not going to remember all of them because, again, I relied heavily on the assassin. But the assassin, if you kill something with an attack, you get 1 energy back. So, and there's a lot of cards that are 0 cost, so you can kind of recycle them through over and over again, and it's really, really powerful. I will say, since I got this guy, it's like all poison damage and intervene and tanking a lot because he's beefy. So it's been a lot of fun just like changing up. And then the items obviously have their own stuff going on too, which add to constitution and, magic and everything else. So we're going to confirm our team. I think we're good here. I have to earn more stuff. I haven't been dedicated enough, and so I apologize.
It's some more. No,
it's a little embarrassing on the stream to see it. My character's not fully kitted out for this.
Don't feel bad about it. I mean, that's what we want, right? We want there to be a sense of progression, even if the meta progression isn't dialed in the game yet. That's kind of a meta layer we need to build on top of the core loop. I still love that like you have goals to hit, right? Like you
Oh
want
yeah.
to beat hard mode, like you want to fully kit out your team, probably with legendary gear. Like it's working as intended. So I would say don't feel bad about it.
I still feel bad about it. All right, so I do. I'm gonna.
Classic gamer.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I am going to mute the music at some point here just so we can talk because I guarantee you it'll distract me. I have ADHD, but I do want to point it out. The music for this game is awesome. It's like, I don't know, you got like the pan flute going on here, and then once you actually get into a battle, it switches up. And
so the music is kind of procedurally generated too, in a way. Like there's different instruments that come in different like levels of hardness per room. So it'll evolve with you as you go on the run to kind of in that room.
I've noticed that in like the boss fights and stuff. I do need an ability to turn it down 50%.
We need a slider. Yeah, we need it. We need a slider. There are like system tools that you can use for like sliding down individual windows and volume.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
But
I'm not smart enough.
you might need to download a plugin. But yeah, we need. There are some things we need in this alpha game for sure. Volume slider being one of them.
All right, so while we have the music, because I want people to hear the music. It's catchy. I've found myself humming it, whistling it while doing dishes and stuff, which is usually a pretty good indicator. So we'll leave it running for a little bit, but I'll have to, once I feel like my voice is getting scratchy because I'm yelling over it, I'll probably end up muting it. Okay, so you can actually, this is my favorite part, is like oh my god, what does it make me think of? Like the Mongolian throat singing here, or whatever.
Tuvan throat singing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of.
Yep.
All right,
lots of weird voice formants. Yeah, it's fun.
I apologize. We'll turn the music back on when we get into different rooms here. But all right. So yeah, anytime I open up here, I mean, obviously you've got some stuff going on that's attributed from items or character abilities. So there's just like a lot going on out of the gate in every single instance, and so you can really like study like, okay, he's attacking top, this guy's attacking all three, which I don't know how to delineate this, but typically when they do that, it's like some sort of status effect and not an actual attack.
So that's the highlight. If you go back over and there's a highlighted blue down arrow on the heads of the kaiju.
Sure. Okay.
And then you can actually hover over that usually and see what he's gonna do.
And it tells you who's doing it. Oh, look at that. See, I'm learning as I go.
So there's a ton of telegraphed information for you to be able to prepare turn to turn and kind of tactically respond, right?
It all just clicked for me. I'm seeing 14 damage. Cool. I'm seeing 18 damage. Oh, my God. Again, I'm learning a lot. This is going to up my game. And for anybody else watching, hopefully there's too. I'm a big fan of opening up with this one if we've got some damage coming in across the board.
Yep.
Because it lets me beef up my shields a little bit. I think I'm just gonna have to this one does damage to everybody who has less than their starting health, which isn't gonna help me unless I get some damage on the board. I can do some damage, but I could also just get shields up and sort of play defense this round because I don't necessarily love my card selection.
Your attack cards, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you'll probably end up taking no damage here, do some poison damage.
Yep, and then poison damage. Ooh. I think the passive here is like 3 poison damage gets assigned at the end of every turn. So now we got some poison damage out around the board.
Stacks.
Ooh, we got some big damage coming in over here. So I will probably do an intervene.
Did you choose hard mode?
No, I think I did medium.
They're beefy. Yeah, those enemies.
I'll do helpful hands and stoic. Those are free. So remove debuffs, gain block, draw a card. That's all good stuff. I'm a big fan of this one because it gives debilitated and vulnerable to people who have poison, which obviously 2 of them do.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got going on here. That 27 is crazy.
Yeah, he's an angry boy.
He's angry. Yeah, what's going on over here? What did I do to him?
I don't know. It's a bright sunny day. He has no reason to be this angry.
I tell you what, we're gonna get. Was that gonna kill him? Whoa.
Yeah. It looks like you might do a crit. Do you have Valiant? I
I
think you have
do.
Valiant on your not yeah. So
Whenever.
you're gonna crit automatically with his next attack card.
Okay.
It is a lot, to be fair, there is a ton of information thrown at you right out the gate. In a game like Slay the Spire, you'd build up to it, right? They
Mhm.
have much longer runs. You start out with a simpler deck. So as we progress out of alpha, it will be more of a slow build to this kind of complexity on screen. I think the learning curve can be improved. Just
Yes.
speaking
Well, I
honestly.
think even just like talking here and you're like pointing out the tooltips above my characters, that was not intuitive to me. So,
Cool. Good feedback.
yeah, I appreciate that. That's huge.
Yeah,
I
man.
think I'm gonna just debilitate him, and that should bring the damage down here, so he won't take much.
And you'll still
And
crit with throwing knife, which is nice.
but only on yeah. Well, he is vulnerable, so that's what's
Oh, it's sorry. It was the wrong frog.
all. Well, yeah, I already used that one. I was like, let's take one of these out. Now I kind of have free reign for the most part. We can. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Probably intervene and block. And then 19 to everybody.
Oh, nice.
And then we could just beat them up and clean up.
I think you got him. Yep.
There we go. Yeah, this is medium. I did not do hard. Last time I tried hard, I think I got whooped in like the second room. And, we got to build up on stream. We can't just like, there's been a couple of streams where I play with founders in like multiplayer games and
Yeah.
they shellac me. And, it's okay every once in a while, but we can't just do that for 2 hours straight. That happened to me. We had the Storm Warfare team on, and I just got clobbered over and over and over again, which was an experience.
Crap. I mean, they do say usually no one's as good at the game as the developers, especially in alpha stages. You
Yes, and then once
got
it's
to do
like
a lot
once
of
it's like
balancing.
once it's open, once it's out in the open, I feel like the creators get lapped pretty fast from what I've
Yep.
seen.
Yeah, I mean, people figure out exploits, they figure out crazy speedrun techniques, stuff that wasn't intended, right? They break the game. And it's fun. It's fun as hell to watch. So,
All right, we're
but
good.
yeah, in those early days, they'll give it to you.
Let me ask you, what's your? I don't have a wizard, so I'm curious. Like, what's your favorite character in the game to play with? What do you sort of build your team around?
I usually do some combination of like 2 wizards, 1 rogue, or two
Okay.
rogues, 1 wizard. I think that combination allows you to just do nutty combos, lots of draw mechanics, and lots of waiting and seeing what happens mechanics. It's the most fun for me, the most RNG heavy.
Okay.
Cycling through your deck, getting nutty cards, patient ambush, waiting next turn, 0 cost cards, cycling through.
Yes.
That's been a favorite.
Bucket of Shurikens is a favorite of mine.
Yep.
Because you usually just have all attack cards when you play it. If you draw what does it do? If you do
I think
damage,
that's the one where if you play it and you meet some condition, then you get an extra. Okay, you play it, you draw a card. If it's an attack card, you get an extra energy, which allows you to automatically play it.
and when
That
you
next
have
attack card you get,
assassins,
right?
it's almost always attack cards anyway.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you just get
Testing my card knowledge here.
tons of free turns. What's the wizard's angle? Again, I don't have one, so I don't have a good
Mhm.
baseline for the tactics with it.
So wizards, their passive is called Arcane Friendship, and what
Love
it
that,
is
by the way.
when awesome, yeah, it's Tyler, our creative director, is great with the naming. He also did the music. He's just a creative force. So Arcane Friendship, the icon's a scroll. There's 3 check marks on the scroll. If all 3 of your teammates play a card in a turn, then you get an extra energy and draw a card per wizard.
Oh,
So
dang.
like if you have 3 wizards, you're stacking it. You're getting like 3 extra energy and 3 extra cards, right? Um, that's at least the most recent version. So I have trouble sometimes with the game versions because I'm playing like the
You're
dev
playing
Unity
the
port
test
builds.
builds with all the cool new
Yeah.
stuff in
So
it.
there's
Yeah.
like 20 versions to keep track of at any time.
That's fair though. Yeah, I'm testing your knowledge and you're like in the future playing some build that none of us have ever seen before.
Future kaiju.
I'm a big fan of the mushroom. First of all, he's got a little cowboy hat, which I love. He got like a little
That's sick.
goth cowboy. I also just
Yeah.
like the poison passive damage because you can throw a bunch of poison damage down and then you can sit back and beef up and watch everybody die before you, which is a cool experience in these kinds of games.
He's he's super debuff and buff heavy.
Yes.
And he's really powerful. Like by the end of the run, you can just have him do an insane poison damage.
Yeah. I got one
kill
of my
the boss just with poison.
I got one of my favorite items this run, which is the tooth, and I love being able to slap it on the assassin because again, if you can get stuff like throwing knife or bucket of shurikens, you're just like constantly pumping out poison damage, bleed damage, which is sort of my go-to at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, combined with the mushroom too, like you can just stack that stuff.
I think I lost the plot on what I was trying to do here.
Oh no, I'm distracting you.
I was trying to give. I guess he did have Valiant. Okay, so we can do this.
Oh, sick! Wow, very nice. And they're not going to attack. Yeah,
we can get it back. Oh, 1 energy. No, that's all right. I feel like I'm getting the hang of it. I've got my builds that I like, but I'm a little pigeonholed with what I have. We got Sleazy Sauce in the comments. He said Mike goes live here and doesn't tell us, so it sounds like I don't know if that's a name you recognize, but
I think he probably wants to know about the burning feature that's coming later today in like 4 hours or so. So we're launching we have these cyclical battle passes that are happening every 2 weeks so that everyone, let's say you just found out about us.
Yep.
A new battle pass is going to be around the corner for you, right? Like we don't want people to be like, well, this battle pass has been running for 5 weeks. I just found out, like, do I have time to even finish it? We just want to eliminate that for users, right? And give people something new like every 2 weeks. So we have, we have a play to airdrop running right now.
Yep.
And it is a points campaign. You can stone me if you'd like. I know everyone and their mothers is running one of those. So the way you earn is you earn a soft currency called jewels. And we're introducing a feature where you can also burn equipment for more jewels, right? So the idea is you're earning treasure chests and jewels on the battle pass. And the treasure chest you open up and it's like a gacha roll, right? It's a loot box.
Yep.
You're not quite sure what you're going to get. So the idea is if you don't like what you got and, you can place it on the marketplace, that's fine. But you can also burn it for more jewels, right? And kind of like get this more cyclical economy going in the game. This is the first step for like allowing users to have optionality with their assets, right? Like they want to put it back in and kind of recycle it and keep it going, or they want to sell it to someone else who has use for it. That's kind of all fair game, right?
Okay.
So burning equipment will go live at 5 p.m. and you can burn equipment for jewels, and happens right there in the app. And we'll release the tables at 5, and y'all will be able to use it.
That's awesome. Are jewels in-game currency? Do you have plans to have that be a tradable currency? What's sort of the thought process on that?
Jewels convert to our token, right? So they are the points basically. And we do have like a jewels store like mocked up and like pretty much ready to go. But my thought is like if I were a user, I wouldn't want to spend jewels on stuff if I knew they were going to become a token, right? Like
Yes.
I think like what's the point in us even spending time polishing and releasing and testing that? There's so many millions of things to do. So that's kind of my thought on it. They will convert to a token, and then there will be a meta game built around this game, right? That involves a lot more user interaction and like I don't want to say too much, but kind of like helps users participate in the creation and destruction of assets in the economy, right? So
Gotcha.
you can do the single player loop. It's super fun. I think it's a really fun and unique game. I think we're pushing the genre forward. From my perspective, it's kind of a Slay the Spire with like team building RPG aspects
Yeah.
as well, and we've kind of taken the combinatorics to the next level. We've extracted them even outside of the core loop to team building pre-run, all that, right? That's great. So we're innovating on the kind of game design side, and then on the Web3 side as well. We want to have this kind of greater vision and features around the game that allow users to interact in a ton of different ways. So that's when the token releases, it's going to be integral in that loop, that kind of meta economy loop that's coming.
That makes sense. For somebody who doesn't have a lot of items, I mean, is there, can I, I'm not going to be burning items for jewels, but can I use jewels to purchase items? And if you said that, I apologize. I'm also like splitting attention between
Yeah, no, the game
between
is
trying to
really
play.
intense.
So,
I mean, so it's something again like we've thought about and have um like mocked up and like kind of pre-built. It's messy, but it exists and it can be a feature. I'm just really curious if that's something users even want. Like again, from my perspective, like would I spend jewels if I knew that they were going to become tokens? And my answer is no, right? Like I understand the crypto game. Like I know what the points are. I don't really want to spend them.
yeah,
But if users, maybe we can run a poll or something. If that's desired, like I don't have any problem adding that feature. I'm not convinced it will be used. Right.
I think that's a very fair assertion. There's been some conversation in like the parallel ecosystem recently about syncs, and one of the big things that's sort of hanging out there is that eventually you're going to be able to stake your prime and get a whole new token that's AI
Yeah.
focused, right?
Prompt.
And so who's going to want to spend prime when you know you can stake it and get, I mean, AI tokens are hot in their own right. I've seen AI tokens that are ripped GitHubs, and there's actually nothing of substance there, run to $20 million, right?
That's great.
Like, so
Welcome to crypto. I mean,
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's one
no,
of
I'm
those,
with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know you're gonna get a token out of it, how incentivized are you to spend it? Probably zero in this space. I'm with you.
Yeah, I just, I want to build features that people use. And like, that's just my gut feeling about it, right? I'd rather have the team spend their time on porting to Unity. So, just as an aside, this entire game is built in TypeScript, like for
Oh
the
wow,
web.
okay.
It's not even in a game engine. It's like a proprietary code that we built from the ground up, right? So it has its strengths and limitations. So we're porting to Unity now that we've kind of hit this alpha benchmark. So right now, really what I want the team focusing on is the Unity build and shipping this kind of progressive Web3 feature building as well. And that's the focus. So my job is really to say like, okay, this feature seems cool, but it's not as high on the priority list. Like here's our North Star for like what we're working on. So, I don't know. Maybe if people sound off and are like, we want to spend our jewels, like, we'll go for
You'll let them.
Otherwise, like we have stuff that we're building that's very exciting that, we'll share more about soon that
I
we're
was
going to
gonna
keep
say you
focused
sounded
on.
like you were ready to get into it on stream here, but I'm assuming that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I've shared about as much as I can share
As much
at
as you can
the
get
at the
into.
moment.
Yep.
There are kind of, this is in our light paper as well. Like we kind of just talk about it in general. We're in the like we've moved on from design. Some of the designs have been around for 2 years. It just hasn't been the time to build them. And we're moving into building them along with the Unity port. So, you know, with a game that's in production, I don't like to share too much ahead of time because it's so subject to change, right?
Yes.
Like
Absolutely.
we see something better, like we realize this doesn't work, or there's this huge caveat or exploitation surface. Like, so I like to share things kind of as they're close to rolling out and complete. It's
That
at least
makes
how I've taken it now.
well, yeah, because you're building in public, right? And
Yep.
you've got these stakeholders who some have longer time frames than others, and typically when something's put out there in the public, you people are like, cool, this is a thing they've said, they've committed to it, and for the most part in this space, people just don't seem too understanding that things happen outside of your control, or or new things pop up and it presents a different opportunity for you, and that
Yep.
everybody here is a startup, and you got to try to stay nimble, right? And you got to try to you can't pigeonhole yourself into something. So I like what you said about North Star, and just like put that big mission and vision out there, right? And make sure everybody buys into it. And as long as you can do that, I think you're good. And then hopefully people give you the leeway to go the direction you need to go for the best success.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act. It's really unique. You're doing live ops for a game before it's done, which like doesn't happen, at least in the indie space. Really, it can happen in mobile just because the MVP for the game is typically smaller.
Yeah.
Just speaking broadly, right? There's monster games like AFK Journey that just came out that are just a whole other world, arguably more difficult to build than a lot of AAA games. But it is this really unique kind of mixture of like, okay, you have a community already that's bootstrapped. You have this product, you have to incorporate this kind of cutting edge tech. You have to do regular releases in public, so you have to polish the product more than you would for like a normal alpha
Right. Yeah.
gameplay session. Like we'd never dream of having like this badass of art in like the earliest alpha version of the game, right?
Right.
But there's different kind of pipeline considerations here for releases. But we're really lucky to have like an amazing community. Like we have people who've been with us literally since our mint, who understand, what we're building, who roll with the punches just like we do. In those cases, it's just really important to communicate, right? Like I try to stay as tapped in as I can and listen to what people have to say, and I try to update people whenever there's anything new. So I don't know. It's an interesting journey, man. I could talk your ear off about it. I know you're
Well,
trying to beat the boss. So.
no, this is medium. I'm gonna be honest. I'm coasting a little bit here.
Hell yeah, yeah. You went in with full health. I mean,
I went in with full health. I did have a heal right beforehand. I got Bucket of Shurikens just doing its thing with the tooth right now, and getting some free damage in. Wow, just I'm running on
your hand is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't even see the cards in it. So I don't.
That's sick.
What do we have going on here? 1 damage.
So you.
Oh, for every damage you take. Oh my god.
So he starts at 99 or 999.
I think it was 500.
500. Okay, yeah.
It's medium.
Whatever number it is. He starts high, and as you do damage, he comes down, right? So you're kind of screwed if you
can't do enough damage.
Yeah, if you don't like draw a damage heavy hand. But that's kind of the fun of it. Sometimes your run sucks. Sometimes you run rules, it's
Yeah, I
the
feel like
genre.
it's really the items make a huge difference, right? Sometimes you just get like super crazy items. Sometimes you just get the little rat that wants to rob you. Um,
The
and,
sideways rat.
and you just have to move on with your life and hope you get a better draw next time. That's what I was saying though. I like that there's randomization to it. There's a number of Web3 games, and it's not even specific to this genre. I won't name it for the sake of not naming it, but like there's a game that's in a different genre than this that I enjoy that play style, but it's very RNG heavy. Your build is dictated by the RNG that comes your way, and you're doing your best to build your team based on
Yeah.
what you get. And the game they presented was you pick your team and there's no RNG. And I was like, wait a minute, this isn't fun. I don't,
Mm.
and maybe you can guess the game. I don't need you to guess the game, but like, I just, when it comes to roguelites, I mean, RNG
I
is,
don't know if I can, but
yeah,
I'll
you don't
think
have,
about
you don't have to.
it.
You can always guess off the stream too.
Yeah, we'll do that. We're not
Okay.
naming names. Yeah.
But the whole point of a roguelite is there's not RPG, there's RNG to it, right? Like it's a different experience every time you play. And if I get to
Yep.
just like if I selected my team and then these are the items I get because it's the team I picked and the gear I came in with, and there's no RNG as I do the run, then I run the exact same comp every time. There's no fun to it, and I get bored really quickly. So I I think it's a huge testament that you guys nailed that, because that's what makes this whole genre fun in the first place, right?
Appreciate it. Hell yeah. Let's go. Victory. You're almost full health too. Oh, that's a great score. Nice job.
Yeah. Um,
Um, you hit on something I do want to talk about really quick. When we were thinking about getting started in Web3 gaming, like we've been around since, as this company since 2021. And before that in crypto, like myself since 2014, I think 2014, 2015. And so what we were really kind of concerned about or designing against was like the potential lack of players or the way that player liquidity changes like in a bear versus a bull, right?
sure.
So we wanted to build a game where a single player could come and play at any time. They could access the game. It could be fun. We could get valuable feedback, but it wouldn't be boring as hell. So that's like where this design came from. Like first Kaiju Cards was a straight like RPG with 3 characters.
Okay.
And like, there were passives and there were attacks, but there was like 2 attacks per character. And like we couldn't scale enemy design or dungeon design like fast enough to make it interesting. Like in that case, that's more of a grindy, like classic RPG.
Sure.
You're trying to reach
Slow
level
level up.
100.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like we're not going to get to that for a while. Like we need to, try to nail core mechanics before we nail progression, right? So we thought really hard about like what could we build that just anyone could come and play, and it could be infinitely variable and interesting, like as if it was PvP almost, right? Because PvP is this kind of, you don't know what's going to happen. It depends who you're playing against, how they're feeling that day, like whatever game it is, the weapon that they have, how servers are feeling that day. Like that is RNG, right? Like
Yeah.
PvP is RNG. So that's kind of our philosophy for why this game. And then we tried to innovate on just the game mechanics within it. I think as Web3 gaming goes and we are closer to a full product, there's a lot of interesting things we can do with this game or other games where it's not a single player experience. It's
Oh,
way more
interesting.
dynamic and open.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Now you,
But you nailed it, right? Like this has to be fun, and people have to be able to enter and replay.
yeah. You got me thinking, what would a Kaiju Cards PvP experience look like, right? There's one thing to open it up and
Yeah.
and maybe have other players you interact with, and maybe it's like co-op-y. But I mean, at the core of it here, here we can do hard. I just want to bring the map
Go for it. Yeah, and I am gonna have to jet in a couple minutes.
All good.
I have a 1 p.m. that I gave him a heads up. It's an internal. Like I'm probably gonna be late, so
Oh,
just
all
start without
good.
me.
Yeah, no worries. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up the map because like you could
Mhm.
do something where you have like battle, random item, battle, healing, and then like this square. So on the other side you have a mirror of that another player is doing, and then
Yep.
this square is where you fight each other, right? And so it's like, how did you do in your battles? What randomized items did you get?
That's an
and
interesting
then
idea.
and then in the middle, like maybe I had just really bad luck. I didn't get a
Yeah.
great item, and I was forced to heal one character up to the max. So now I'm not coming in with full health. I've got a few characters that are a little dinged up, and now my opponent came in. He had good RNG, and he's like full health, and he's got that stinky tooth, and he's gonna just poison me to death. I don't know. I think there are.
Don't you dare DC on purpose in that situation.
Well, that's an automatic loss, and whatever
Yeah,
you
no, I'm
because
just
because
joking.
it's crypto, there's probably some sort of betting involved, so that they're forfeit, right? Like all their gems are
Yep, yep,
forfeit. And
yep. So, my thought on PvP, like I like PvP to be a little more skill based. I think that there's already enough RNG just in the hand in like the battle itself of what you draw, like dictating what you can do per turn.
Okay.
And we've thought about we've like thought about so many different iterations of what PvP could be. I think at base it's going to require some different design, right? Like it's going to require like either like a bracket of like you only epics can play in this PvP mode, or maybe stats are flattened, but the cosmetics signal how rare the character is. And there's a different type of like deck that you have to play with, or the cards are slightly modulated. I don't know if we're going to build PvP. My dream is to build more of like a UGC PvP
Oh,
where
okay.
like players can like own map tiles, for instance, and like place them down in their map, right? And they can even place their characters that they own as enemies on the map. And you are battling against like their dungeon, right? So there's also like an idle component for the people who are creating dungeons in that, which I think is really important for crypto gaming, and just kind of gaming in general. Like AFK Journey is optimized for idle quite a bit. So I don't know. That's like just that's more like future kind of thoughts about what it could be in terms of PvP. If people want to duke it out PvP and there's a big demand for that, like I have no problem just like building a classic PvP mode and people can fight in the arena.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, my face while you were talking there was not in response to you. I just had a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
I had a lot of damage on the board and no way to mitigate it. So I was
Totally. I'm talking you up while you're playing a
all good, man.
very
I'm locked in
heavy
over here.
heavy
I'm
game.
listening, but I'm locked in. Don't worry about that part. All right, he's gonna die. Again, hard is just extremely hard. I don't know how
Yeah,
else
it's
to. I don't have another word for it. It's just
it's
fucking hard.
balanced for like there are different groups of people in terms of asset ownership, right? So like there are
True.
people who
Yes.
during the Pioneer event specifically, that battle pass allowed you to level up in terms of characters that you were earning. So if you got to the end of the battle pass, you would earned at least one legendary character like
Okay.
from the battle pass. So hard mode's really balanced for like people who
Are in the
have
end game. They have the end
legendaries.
game
Yeah,
gear. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Exactly. That's the perfect word for it. So it is an aspiration for people to grind up to, and I do believe it's you can beat hard mode with even free to play characters. It's you need some awesome RNG and probably a lot of practice and deep understanding of all of the game mechanics, but like it is possible, right? So again, like it is the progression that we could put into the game in this alpha state that like we felt was compelling and didn't like make future progression things we want to build obsolete.
That makes sense. Oh man, the opening gambit on these hard mode rooms are it's just brutal. Especially these guys, they just come out swinging.
The orcs are annoying as hell. Yeah.
Oh, they're brutal. You just got to take it on the chin when you're using uncommon and rare characters like me.
We got to get you outfitted with some more gear.
Yeah. What's the trick here? Do I just got to go to the treasure marketplace and see what's available here and just spend some cash and upgrade my stuff, or is there?
So you can earn gear on the battle pass.
Yes. I for whatever reason I started late on the battle pass, so it's not looking good for me on this season.
Okay.
I'll get a little. Don't get me wrong.
New one starts tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific in about 4 hours. So, you can go for that. Those are the only ways right now that you can get equipment. It's emissions too, right? Like it's not just equipment in the game, but it's like emissions into the economy. We have this burning feature, which will be circular. I definitely recommend you get outfitted. I think that it could really help you tackle hard mode.
Yeah, it's going very poorly for me right now. As you can see,
they got your boy.
They got my boy, who is really the linchpin of my team here.
Oh, did he have the big stinky tooth equipped?
He did, and he's my big damage dealer, and it's all going downhill because these guys are still out here. They're still wrecking my face.
You got one of them.
It's still not looking good.
Are you going to take... I'm having trouble seeing the shield. No? Okay, no damage.
No damage, hanging in there. But again, there's just like some big damage on the board, and it's going to make it really hard for me to...
Yeah, their stats are cranked. They're cranked up. They're juiced.
I think we just got to survive on this one. I likely won't finish this run. I don't think there's a healing near me, so I'm not going to be able to revive. That's the hard part too, is when you get to a healing, if you lost a character, you can revive them, but they're only back at 25% health.
Yeah.
So I do like the challenge of it though. Although maybe I go get kitted out after this, and maybe it's a cakewalk for me. I'm not sure.
I think you'll get it quick. Yeah. I mean, I think like just knowing how like the telegraphing of enemy intents works too, and like all that, I think you're going to level up fast.
This was huge. I actually didn't know this part with the tips over the top. So that helps me a ton. Cause like, I didn't know how much damage was coming my way, right? Like I would do this and I would see, oh, he's attacking here, and I'd buff up shield. But knowing it's going to be 38 damage and it bleeds if it goes unblocked, and I didn't know any of that stuff. So clearly I have to like pay more attention and not just... I've noticed lately with gamers, like a big thing is, okay, the tutorial comes on the screen and it's like skip. And not that there's like a huge tutorial for this game or anything, right? Because it's an alpha. But even like some of that stuff that seems really intuitive like this, totally oblivious to it. I played 3 seasons of this so far, and I just learned it talking to you on the stream.
Well, I mean, there's also
if I'm the average gamer, but like
no, I don't think you are. Like I think you're definitely the above average gamer. The UI
gassing me up here. Jeez.
It's alpha. Like there's probably a better way to represent that. Like I'm definitely open to that possibility. For me, it's intuitive because we designed it and we know how it works. But like hearing that it's not immediately ascertainable is important. There is a small tutorial, like a visuals tutorial slides on the homepage.
Okay.
But nobody reads. Like you're right. No one reads. There was I
didn't know that.
Yeah, no one reads, and that's fine. Like we need to design for the fact that no one reads, right? And it's hard when it's a card heavy game, and you have to read. There's already so much reading you have to do. But I mean, there's been funny studies about like people retweeting articles based on headlines that like they didn't actually read the article
Oh,
at all, right? And
100%.
it's like some large percentage of people just retweet because of the headline, and the headline doesn't properly distill like what's in the article. So
I
um
I think it's extremely true for crypto. So I've talked about this a couple of times, but like I always struggled with thinking that I didn't have an information edge in crypto because I used to trade stocks, right? And if with publicly traded companies, it's almost impossible to have an information edge. You could be like, "Oh, XYZ, I have this thesis," but like
yep,
um you're never just going to like read something and have an edge over, you know, some huge firm that's trading just because
yep,
of like the rules around the SEC and everything else. But in crypto, what I've noticed is like you put out a white paper. Let's say Kaiju Cards puts out a white paper. If I read that white paper, I know more about Kaiju Cards than 99.8% of people in the space who many of them may even know who Kaiju Cards is. They just didn't read it, right? And
yep,
so I struggled for a really long time where I had this thought where if I read something, everyone else must know it too. And then it happened a couple of times, but it'd be like 3 months later. And then the thing they said they were going to do, they did it. And then the price would shoot up. And I would go, wait a minute. Why? Didn't everybody already know this? It took me a long, not a long time, but it took me like, I don't know, 3, 4 instances of that to be like, do I know stuff? Like, do I, and just from
yeah,
reading, it's incredible.
yeah.
So
No,
so
it's
it's
interesting.
not just gaming. It's definitely crypto as well. I'd say gamers are bad at it, and people in crypto are equally, if not more, bad at it. And so, if you have people who play crypto games, there's 100% chance they didn't read anything. So,
Yep.
know your
Yeah,
audience,
no,
right?
I'm with you. Yeah. Crypto is interesting too because like because of the wealth of opportunities and the kind of 24/7 nature of the market, like things don't price in the same way as they do in stocks, right? Like earnings forecasts are priced in like so far ahead of time in stocks.
Yes,
And
yes,
like there's even delays in the crypto market where you look at someone like Maker who's like their earnings are insane, but like most people just don't even know about that, right?
yeah.
Like they're clearing hundreds of millions a year, which is definitely over their OpEx. So I don't know. It's yeah, it's a funny space. Definitely use that to your advantage. I have to jump. I do
Yep,
have
all
an
good.
internal meeting to prepare for our launch, but dude, it's been so fun
Yeah,
hanging.
absolutely. As you guys add more stuff, would love to have you back on. And like I said, Ryan Orphan with Game Seller also joined the Treasure Create family, and so I've been preaching Treasure to them for a while. They get pigeonholed
Yeah.
in some of their games, but I'm sure they'd have to love you on too, and they're a riot in their own right. So would love to have you back on the
Sick.
Seller, and thanks, Mike. This was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, same man. I'm down to hang anytime. And thanks for having me. And thanks everyone for listening to us shoot the shit.
Let's go. We're gonna change the title of the show to "Shooting the Shit."
Shoot the shit. Would work for the FPS games, right?
It would, yeah. I mean, it works for this too. I mean, look at all these shitheads that are gonna. I'm
That's
probably gonna
true.
just end this run.
Word. Well, cheers, man.
Cheers.
Talk to you
I'll let you
soon.
get to your meeting. All right, sounds good.
Peace.
Peace. All right, let's go back. We'll just go back to single game scene, and I'm gonna hang up on Mike here, who's in the control room. Pew. Look at that. There's a lot going on here, man. It's the play to airdrop for jewels right now in Kaiju Cards. I'm just gonna back out to the menu. I was getting absolutely clobbered. Battle Pass, they said resets here in 3 hours and 43 minutes. I did not get nearly far enough in the Battle Pass this season to get the things that I wanted to get, mainly all these jewels. I didn't even see it. The season had opened until like 2 or 3 days ago. So way behind on that stuff, but we'll get it back. We'll get it back in 3.5 hours here. Oh, it says I'm playing non-heroes, which is not correct. This is Kaiju Cards. Whoops. Well, that gives you a sneak peek of it. There's a lot of cool games on Treasure too. You should check out Keroro Beast. You should check out, I guess Pirate Nation isn't on Treasure. I guess it's on Arbitrum. But Mighty Action Heroes. There's just like a lot of cool indie games. Huge fan of that ecosystem. And like it's super collaborative. Keroro has put in Knights of the Ether. They've put in Wanderers. They've put in Forgotten Runes, Wizard Cult. There's a lot of cool community lifting up between all of the games in the Treasure ecosystem. And I think Kaiju Cards isn't really a stranger to that either. Love the characters, love that they're animation experts, because I think they're going to do some cool stuff with these little characters. I think it can do some test animation and, kind of tease it around, ship it around, see if anybody would pick it up. And I would think at least as like sort of a mini series. And given the background, I heard Adventure Time thrown out there. I heard all kinds of stuff. I could very easily see this being some kind of like Netflix show that kids and adults both could sort of geek out about. So big fan of the characters, big fan of the IP, probably the hardest Slay the Spire-esque roguelite in Web3 that I've played, and big fan of Mike and the team. That was it for Kaiju Cards today. I didn't have another game on deck. My battle pass is done, and I'm probably going to pick this game up and play it again in another 3 hours or so when the new battle pass opens. So I don't really want to do a bunch of runs right now because in 3.5 hours, I'm going to open it up and do a bunch of my own runs anyway. So if you tuned in, thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to Paragon's DAO, who is a sponsor of the Game Seller. They are awesome. They have sleeving available for parallel cards, so you can complete full sets even if you don't have the full set, and you can earn Prime. You can buy PDT and stake it, and you can earn Prime. I believe the value of assets that Paragon's DAO holds exceeds the value of their PDT token. And it's just a crack team over there doing a lot of cool stuff, including tournaments, and they're going to be really well set for bonds when it goes live. And so with all the Hearthstone pros that are coming onto the parallel ecosystem, you're going to see an influx of Hearthstone players coming with it. And groups like Paragon's DAO are going to be prepared with an absolute war chest of cards available to lend out to some of these people who are really, really good at TCGs. And they're probably going to let people keep a significant portion of any earnings they bring in too. Earnings in parallel scale based on how good you are in the game. If you're master rank, you're going to earn more than somebody who's bronze league. So they just, they saw a game they liked. They built their entire ecosystem on how to sort of not only benefit parallel, but to build up their own war chest and do cool stuff and continue to support it as well. So shout out to Paragon's DAO. That's my quick pitch. We'll be back next week with, I don't know who. We'll come up with something. And final reminder, Echelon Foundation elections are open right now. If you don't know what that is, that's the foundation that oversees Prime token and the Prime ecosystem and the parallel ecosystem. Myself and Austin White from Game Seller are both running for Emissary Prime at Echelon Foundation. But what I'll say is if you aren't familiar with the candidates, if you aren't familiar with what's going on, go to Echelon Foundation Discord, check out all the candidates, read what they wrote. Everybody who's running put a ton of work and effort into talking about themselves, their background, their interests, their priorities. And so if you can take a look and decide that way, greatly appreciated. I think it's important for the entire parallel ecosystem and direction. And kudos to everybody who's been an EP up to this point. I know it's not an easy job. So with that, that is Money Talks. Episode 9, thanks to Mike at Kaiju Cards. We'll be back with something fun next week. Thanks, everybody.